Hello, welcome to the Web and Git course episode 1. Today we will focus on the installation process to get the tools we need so that we could start working on our website. So before we start, I would like to say that this installation process is for macOS only. I think for Linux will be quite similar, but maybe a little bit different for Windows. In the future, if I have time, I will create a separate video to explain how the installation process of Windows works. For example, one difference between Windows machines and Mac and Linux machines is that Git is already pre-installed for you. You can check this by pressing Command Space and then open your terminal, and then you could type in Git, G-I-T, and you can see there's tons of commands you can use with Git. That means Git is like installed for you already. So now without doing anything, we already have Git. So what is the other part of Git? Is GitHub. So let's go to GitHub and let's create a new account. So yeah, I think I will sign up with you guys. So I'll catch you guys after I've created an account. So now we have created an account. The next step is to head to my template. I will add this link into the description so that you guys can find it easily. And now we will click use this template to create your own copy of the template. Like you don't want to make edits here because it's my template. So you make your own copy of the template instead. So now we are creating a new repository. A new repository is a fancier name for project. And there's also a short name of repository that is repo, R-E-P-O, so that you won't get confused when you hear other programmers talking about it. So we'll create a repository name, which is a project name. So I would say numbers are fun, because that will be the example website that we are building. And you can make it public or private, it's up to you, and I'll make it private. And this one you can uncheck it, and let's create a repository. And now you have your own copy of the repository. And now let's try to download the code. Of course, the easiest way is to download it via a zip file. But then of course, we are programmers and we'll use more advanced technique, which will be more convenient in the long term. So download my project. What you need is an SSH key. So you could follow the tutorial here. I also followed the tutorial here, like I won't remember the steps. So yeah, the link of this will be in the description as well. If there are too many links, maybe I will include a document that includes a link in the description. I'll see how it goes. So paste the text below. Okay. Then yeah, just follow the instructions. Okay, and then the default file will be fine. And then password, you could add a password, but it's just not necessary. All right, so yeah, so I'll get a key, and then I think I've finished these steps. So yeah, so we'll do this. Yeah, it looks good, and then check whether it exists or not. Okay, it doesn't exist, normal. So right now I think another thing you could learn other than just copying is to learn the commands in the command line. So well, these things you had are very special commands, but this is a very useful command. Touch something means create a new file. So right now we are creating a new file called config. So yep, touch this, created this file, and then so we can open it, and then the file is there. So well, it's right now it's blank text file, and then I think we'll have to add it. I think we'll have to add this text here, and then save it, and then continue to copy the commands. Yeah, I think that's it. And then after that, you have to add the key to your account, and then and then copy the key, and then we could go to settings, SSH keys, and then new SSH key, and then here for the title, you could give maybe your device name, like for example, my Mac, because if you're working on multiple machines, you will need multiple SSH keys for each machine, and then paste the key you had, and then add the key, and then that's it. I think the setup is complete. Oh yeah, so before we download our code, I think it is wise to first create a folder to store our code. So yeah, so I think what I would do is to create a code folder inside the root directory. So we could of course do this, okay, but of course let's be a little bit smarter than normal people and do it via command line. To get started with command line, all you need to learn is two commands. So the first command is ls, which stands for list. So it lists out all the files and folders you have in your current directory. So what does this tilde represent? It represents the root directory. The root directory is like different when you're using Mac or Linux or Windows, but for Mac the root directory will be the user directory, which is this directory. As you can see, the folders are the same. And then the other command is the cd command. Cd means change directory. For example, you would like to get into the downloads folder, so cd downloads, and you can, okay, fine, and you'll be in the downloads folder. And then to go back, you will use cd dot dot, two dots, to go back to the root directory. So right now we would like to create a new code directory. So to make directory, we will use mkdir, which stands for make directory, and then we will say code. Yep, and then we could cd into code, and then, well, this is where you want to put your code. Oh yeah, one more thing before we download the code. Remember there's a .ssh folder at the root directory when we are creating the SSH key. So where is it? Like, you can't see it here. Like, so where is it? So let's cd it back to the root directory. So what is happening there is because the .ssh folder starts with a dot. That means the folder is hidden. So you can't see it just by ls. So instead you do ls-a, which shows all the hidden directories. So with this you can see the .ssh folder. So just to let you know that ls-a will reveal the secret files, or hidden files I should say. They're not that secret. So yeah, let's go back to the code. And now we will download the code from our own repository. So you just go to code, and then instead of this HTTPS, which, well, normal people will use, so we will choose SSH, which we programmers will use. And that is also what we have configured at the start of the video. So you just copy this link and go back to the terminal, and you could run our first git command, which is git clone and then the thing you copied. So git clone plus the thing you copied. Alright, so type ls and you can see the code is downloaded, and then we cd into static. Well, it's quite a long folder name, isn't it? So you could use tab to autocomplete, and then there you go. You're now in static web sandbox. So this is the template. What you could do is ls, and you can see, well, a bunch of random stuff in there, but yeah, we will deal with that later. So right now we'll shift our focus to install other things to make this website run. So you have to download Node.js. You can just search Node.js on Google, and you could see this web page. So we download the LTS version of Node.js. So I think you can install it successfully by following the instruction of the thing you just downloaded. So it's quite easy. To check whether you have installed Node successfully, you could close the terminal and then reopen it, and then you could type node -- version, and then it will show the version you have just downloaded. So 16.15.0 for me. It might be newer for you. And the second thing you may have to install is npm. So just check whether npm is there by typing npm -- version. Usually it's there because it should be installed with Node, but if it's not there, then tell me in the comments, and I'll see how to fix it. So right now we could cd into code, and then the sandbox, and then we could run npm install, and then it will carry on to install the packages it needs to run the web. So one thing to note is the command is just npm install. Well, you didn't tell it what to install, but, well, it seems to be knowing how to do its thing and keep installing stuff. And so how it works is that we have a a package.json file. We could open it with just a text editor, and then you can see. So these are the things that I tell the npm to install for you. So it's written by me, so that you guys don't need to command npm what to install, but just npm install and it will do its job. Cool, we have finished installing, and you can see it created a new Node modules folder inside our sandbox, and so these are the packages we use. Wow, it's a very long list, so don't ever bother to open the folder. You don't need to edit anything in the folder, you don't need to read anything in the folder. It's just, well, you can take it for granted. Alright, so what we do now is to run npm build, npm run build. Alright, and then it seems to be building a bunch of stuff, and then afterwards there's a docs folder being created, and what you could do is open the docs folder and then just press index.html. So there you go, this is the sandbox. It is very primitive right now. It's an all white background with a home page and an about page. So this is the thing we'll be working from. And one more thing you will have to download is Visual Studio Code. This is just a nicer tool for you to read the code with all the highlighted syntax, and all the code inside the folder is all in one place. So you will just download it, and for the instructions, I think it is pretty straightforward. So once you have downloaded Visual Studio Code, you could just open it and open your folder, and you can see all the code is in there. It's the app folder, and then the index file, the about page, etc. And we will work using Visual Studio Code in the future. So it has a lot of plugins and extensions, and I don't think it is necessary, but you could try if you are interested. Wow, after tons of installing and copying, you have now successfully installed all the tools you need for this course. So a brief recap of what we have done. We have set up Git and GitHub, whether it is the SSH key or the repository. Repository again is another name for projects. And we have also installed Node.js, and finally Visual Studio Code, which is sort of like a better version of a text editor. And then it seems like there was a lot of copying and you learn barely any new things. But for some of you, it will be the first time that you are using the terminal. So here is a list of common terminal commands we have used during this video. First of all is ls, which lists all the files and folders under your current directory, and ls-a also shows the hidden files and folders. And cd directory means change directory, like for example when we're jumping from the root folder into the code folder and then into the static web folder. And then touch something means we create a new file, and mkdir means we create a new directory. Out of all commands, the most important commands are ls and cd. We can use tab for autocomplete. Remember that the static web sandbox is a very long name, so we could just use tab to autocomplete. And up down arrow for command history, for you to redo the command when it fails, and for you to do repeated commands. And finally, it is useful to check whether something has been installed successfully, so we will use something -- version. For example, if you just installed Node and you want to check whether it's installed successfully, you would run node -- version. So that's the end of this video, and in the next video we'll look at the syntax of Pug.js and how it contrasts with HTML. And for those of you who don't know HTML, don't worry, we'll start from the basics. See you in the next video.